Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Before I read the statement on behalf of the leadership, I would like to give Dr. Makoni just a few minutes to give the background to what is happening today.
Thank you, SG, colleagues, and I'm Zengi. First, tinotenda nekutipa mukana kushandira muno mushamenyi. On behalf of my colleagues, I also want to thank you all very much for coming at such short notice. I believe the communication went out not more than 2 hours ago, so your presence signals a level of commitment that we want to appreciate. We have been consulting about the anniversary of our independence that's coming tomorrow. And a number of us agreed that it would be appropriate for us to reflect on this important national occasion together. Because we were all going to issue messages about our independence. And we felt that it would be weightier and closer to the extent that the leaders of the organizations represented here themselves represent the largest majority of Zimbabwean citizens, that our reflection on independence is joint and collective. So the reflections that Douglas will share are what we feel as the collective of leaders of parties that are not in government, is the significance, relevance of the 35th anniversary of the independence of Zimbabwe. I just thought I share with you the background, the consultations that culminated in our being here together this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will proceed to read the joint statement by the leaders. Tomorrow we commemorate the 35th anniversary of our national independence. We in the political leadership urge all people of Zimbabwe to take time to reflect on the brutal struggle in which patriotic sons and daughters of this country paid the ultimate price to secure political independence. Indeed, our prosecution of the armed struggle for liberation shows that the Zimbabweans are a heroic people, a committed people, prepared to water the sacred garden of independence and freedom with their own blood. As the cooperative of political leaders, we are proud of that part of our history, and we cherish the great sacrifice made by the Zimbabweans to fight oppression and attain political independence. Even as we wage the new war for true democracy and basic freedoms, we stand on the soldiers of the patriotic sons and daughters who perished and lost life and limb so that the dreams and aspirations of future generations will be realized. We wish to comment on the betrayal of the people's struggle. The tragedy of our liberation is that the only political independence came without the basic freedoms that many had fought and died for. Basic freedoms of speech, association and assembly, and even one person, one vote, have been and are still being seriously betrayed by the new Zanu-PF administration after the attainment of independence. The colonial political administration was replaced by an equally oppressive indigenous administration, allergic to difference and freedom of political thought and practice. While in colonial Rhodesia, your skin color mattered, in Zimbabwe under Zanu-PF, it is your political card that matters. The culture of chefdom quickly substituted the bus culture that was the hallmark of the colonial administration. While there were notable gains in health, education, and social services in the early years of independence, we have seen the erosion of all the gains by the new culture of misgovernance, incompetence, clientelism, and patronage. In short, the Zanu-PF has betrayed the values and essence of the liberation struggle, with the thousands of war veterans being targets for sustained political attack, victimization, exclusion, and wanton physical and psychological violence. The spirit of liberation has been betrayed. Some of our former liberators have become our tormentors, while we in political leadership have taken up the new national mandate to complete the unfinished business of the liberation struggle. We wish to comment again on completing the unfinished business of the liberation struggle. We are leaders of the post-liberation political discourse that pledges to complete the people's struggle by attaining true individual freedoms and the prosperity of our citizens. As evidenced by the era of the inclusive government, Zimbabweans appreciate the opposition's capacity to lead and serve the people. Our commitment to good governance was seen in our successful push for a new democratic constitution when Zimbabweans made a new charter for themselves, expressing how they want to be governed. All the basic freedoms that the people fought for, which had been emasculated by Zanu-PF over the years, are now enshrined in our constitution, written by the Zimbabweans themselves. This must have been the true meaning of independence, the sovereign right of the people to determine how they want to be governed. Over the 3 million Zimbabweans voted for this new charter in May 2013. The tragedy, however, is that Zanu-PF regime is standing in the way of the implementation of the sovereign will of the people, as expressed in the constitution that the people wrote for themselves. Zanu-PF as a regime of impediment and repression is refusing to implement the constitution and even threatening to amend it or through its stolen majority in parliament. Zimbabweans must say no to this brazen threat by the regime of thugs and kleptocrats. Zimbabweans who fought for freedom from white minority rule must fight for the implementation of their constitution and for the economic upliftment, social harmony and cohesion, and freedom from fear. In conclusion, this Independence Day is a proper time to resolve to chart a new course better than the ruinous Zanu-PF path. It is time to reflect on whether we toiled or fought for our country so as to live in this sorry state. To reflect on whether we fought for the vote so that it could be stolen, as reflected in the consistent subversion of the people's will since 2000. You look at all those millions on the street side in our cities, towns and villages, vending to eke out a living for their families, and you ask yourself, is this real independence? Millions of our children are all over the world in search of opportunity. Again, is this real independence? Did we fight for the freedom to flee our country and seek asylum in the diaspora? The freedom fighters themselves, ex-detainees, our mothers, our fathers, Mujibas and Chimbwidos, and all those who helped in cash and kind during the liberation struggle still have the lingering question, is this the independence we were yearning for? The question remains unanswered. Did we fight for the freedom to flee our country and become victims of xenophobic attacks in neighboring countries? All those thousands who were brutally murdered, the women who were raped and abused, did they fight for freedom in order to be abused? All those Zimbabweans suffering and wondering where the proceeds of their country's diamonds and other minerals are going, did they fight the whole war to benefit a few top echelons of Zanu-PF regime? Did we fight so that our children could seek education and health care in ill-funded and ill-equipped hospitals and schools, while the chefs use our taxes to fund their treatment and education of their children abroad? As we reflect on our struggle as a people and the current dilapidated state of our national physical assets, the hardships endured every day by the majority of Zimbabweans, we must certainly conclude that the new liberation is beckoning. Just as we fought a brutal, protracted struggle against the white minority repression, so too must we be ready to redeem ourselves from the current penury, poverty, deprivation inflicted upon us by our own kin and kin. Independence is not enough without the freedoms and prosperity, and we must be ready to pay the ultimate price once again to save ourselves. Oh yes, we are a heroic people, and we must liberate ourselves once again. We wish that Independence Day be a peaceful day for all Zimbabwean people. God bless Zimbabwe. Thank you.